Michael had always believed that stability was the quiet foundation of love. At 28, he lived a life built on simple routines: morning coffee at the small kitchen table, gentle music drifting through the apartment, and evenings spent waiting for his partner, Daniel, to return home. But lately, those routines felt like shadows of what they once were. The warmth between them had thinned, replaced by clipped conversations and half-hearted smiles that never reached Daniel's eyes. On a Thursday evening, Michael returned home earlier than usual. His meeting had been cancelled, offering him an unexpected pocket of time. As he stepped into the apartment, he immediately sensed the stillness. The lights were off, but Daniel's phone vibrated insistently on the table. Michael frowned and set his keys down softly, as if afraid the sound might break something fragile in the air. A name blinked on the screen: Evan. Jim. Before Michael could fully process it, Daniel appeared in the hallway, slightly startled. He brushed his hair back hastily and forced a smile that looked as though it had been practiced. "You're home early," Daniel said, adjusting his shirt with a nervous tug. "Meeting ended sooner than expected." Michael glanced toward the buzzing phone, trying to keep his voice steady. "Your phone keeps going off." Daniel reached for it quickly. "Just someone from the gym asking about a routine. Nothing important." His tone was too quick, too light. Michael felt a small ripple of doubt tighten his chest. He wanted to believe Daniel, wanted desperately to hold on to the sense of trust they once shared, but something about the moment left him unsettled. Over the next few days, the feeling grew. Daniel stayed out late, claiming extended shifts or unexpected errands. Their conversations became shorter, fragmented by interruptions and lingering silences. Michael noticed Daniel keeping his phone face down, and the warmth that once filled their home was replaced by a cautious quiet. One evening, while Michael sat on the couch pretending to read, Daniel slipped into the kitchen to take a call. The voice was low, almost a whisper. Michael didn't intend to overhear anything, but a single sentence drifted to him through the thin wall: "I can't talk right now, he's here." Michael's breath caught. The pronoun, the secrecy, the cautious tone, it all collided inside him with a force he wasn't prepared for. He placed his book down and stared at the floor. The betrayal wasn't proven, but the possibility was enough to fracture something inside him. Instead of confronting Daniel, he stood, slipped on his jacket, and walked out the door without saying a word. The night air was cold, sharper than he expected. Streetlights cast long shadows on the pavement as Michael walked aimlessly through the neighborhood. His thoughts tangled together: Daniel's distance, the whispered phone call, the feeling of being shut out of a life he helped build. For the first time since they'd met, he felt like a stranger in his own relationship. He turned down a dimmer street, needing space to think. But before he could gather his emotions, two figures emerged from the corner. They moved quickly, too quickly. One grabbed his arm while the other shoved him against the wall. "Wallet. Now." The command was blunt, carried by a voice coded in impatience. Michael froze. His heart pounded wildly as he fumbled with trembling hands. They snatched the wallet, shoved him once more, and disappeared into the darkness as suddenly as they had appeared. Michael slid down the wall, shaken and breathless. The sting of betrayal blended with the fear of the assault, creating a heavy ache in his chest. He stayed there for a moment, trying to steady his breathing. When he finally pushed himself to his feet, only one thought guided him: he needed help. The nearest police station was a few blocks away. Each step felt heavier than the last, but the bright blue sign outside the station door felt like a small lifeline in the chaotic night. Michael walked inside, brushing dirt from his jacket and trying to compose himself. Behind the front desk stood Officer Lucas, a man in his early 30s with a steady posture and calm eyes. Lucas's expression shifted the moment he saw Michael's shaken form. "You look like you've had a rough night," Lucas said gently. "How can I help you?" Michael swallowed hard. I'd like to report something." Lucas nodded, motioning for him to come closer. "Take your time. You're safe here." For the first time that evening, Michael felt the tightness in his chest ease, just slightly. As Lucas listened with quiet attention, Michael realized that his night, and possibly his life, was about to change in ways he never anticipated. Officer Lucas guided Michael into a quieter back room, closing the door softly behind them. The space was small but warm, illuminated by a single lamp that cast a gentle glow across the table. It felt different from the bustling front desk, more private, more human. Michael took a seat, still trying to steady the tremor in his hands. Lucas sat across from him, his expression patient. "Whenever you're ready," he said, not opening his notebook until Michael gave a small nod. Michael began describing the mugging, his words shaky but measured. Lucas listened intently, interrupting only to clarify a detail or gently encourage him forward. As the story unfolded, something in Michael's voice wavered, not from the physical fear alone, but from something deeper. Lucas noticed it immediately. "You seemed overwhelmed long before the mugging happened," Lucas said softly. "Is there something else weighing on you?" The question sat between them, tender but direct. Michael hesitated, torn between protecting his private life and finally releasing the weight he had been carrying alone. After a long breath, he lowered his gaze. "My relationship, it's been falling apart," he murmured. "And tonight, everything just felt heavier." Lucas leaned forward, his tone warm but grounded. "You can share only what you're comfortable with. I'm here to help, not judge." Something about that reassurance unlocked Michael's restraint. He told Lucas about Daniel's distance, the phone calls, and the whispered sentence that crashed against him earlier that evening. He spoke slowly, carefully, as if saying the words too quickly might make the truth more painful. Lucas listened without a single trace of impatience. "That kind of uncertainty can be devastating," Lucas said once Michael finished. "Feeling unsafe emotionally can be just as destabilizing as any physical threat." Michael blinked, surprised by the clarity in Lucas's words. "I didn't think anyone would understand." "I do," Lucas replied quietly. "I've been in a situation where someone I cared for wasn't honest with me. It changes how you move through the world." Michael looked up, meeting Lucas's eyes for the first time since entering the room. There was sincerity there, steady, kind, and unexpectedly familiar. He felt a gentle shift inside him, as if the ground beneath his grief had softened. "I just don't know what to believe anymore," Michael said. "One moment Daniel feels distant, and the next I convince myself I'm imagining it." "That's what doubt does," Lucas said. "It makes you question your own senses. But your instincts are speaking for a reason. They're trying to protect you." Michael absorbed the words, feeling a quiet clarity begin to form. He realized how long it had been since someone truly listened to him, not out of obligation, but genuine care. Lucas closed his notebook. "Your report is complete. We'll investigate the incident, and we'll contact you if we need further details." Michael nodded slowly, but he didn't stand. Something about the stillness of the room made him want to linger, just a little. The safety he felt here contrasted sharply with the heaviness waiting for him at home. Lucas noticed the hesitation, though he remained professional. "If things at home feel overwhelming, you don't have to face them alone," he said. "You can always come back here, even if it's just to talk things through." The offer landed with unexpected gravity. Michael felt his chest tighten, not with fear but with a strange mixture of gratitude and longing for reassurance he hadn't felt in months. "That means more than you know," Michael said quietly. The room fell into a small, meaningful silence. Lucas didn't push, didn't pry. He simply allowed the moment to exist, giving Michael space to breathe. After a moment, Michael rose from his seat. "Thank you, for listening. And for not rushing me." Lucas gave a small, reassuring smile. "You handled a difficult night with a lot of strength. Take things one step at a time." Michael opened the door, pausing for a heartbeat before stepping out. He felt lighter than when he arrived, though the path ahead was still uncertain. As he walked through the quiet hallway, Lucas's words echoed in his mind, steadying him, guiding him. He hadn't expected comfort to come from a stranger in a police uniform. But as he stepped out into the cool night air, Michael sensed that something had shifted, subtly, undeniably. The world felt different now, and he wasn't sure if it was because of the mugging, or the man who had listened. When Michael stepped back into the apartment later that night, the air felt unusually still. Daniel sat on the couch scrolling through his phone, barely glancing up as the door clicked shut. The distance between them, once subtle, now felt unmistakable, an invisible wall neither of them bothered to hide anymore. "You're home late," Daniel said, his tone flat, as if the words were merely filling space. "I had to file a report," Michael replied calmly. "I was mugged tonight." Daniel froze for a moment, surprise flickering across his face before dissolving into a muted frown. "You should have called me." Michael studied him carefully. "Would you have answered?" Daniel shifted his gaze back to the phone. "I'm just saying. I would have wanted to know." The reply felt rehearsed, lacking the urgency or concern Michael once found comforting. Instead of pressing further, he walked past Daniel and placed his jacket on the hook. The conversation he'd had with Officer Lucas replayed softly in his mind, bringing clarity he never allowed himself to consider. Michael took a steady breath. "Daniel, we need to talk." Daniel stiffened. "About what?" "About us," Michael said. "And about Evan." Daniel's face tightened, a flicker of defensiveness rising instantly. "Why are we doing this right now?" "Because pretending everything is fine doesn't help either of us," Michael said, keeping his voice gentle but firm. "I heard you talking earlier, whispering that you couldn't talk because I was home." Daniel's eyes darted away. "You misunderstood." Michael shook his head. "I didn't misunderstand. I just don't want to accuse you without giving you the chance to speak." A long silence filled the room. The clock on the wall ticked softly, each second stretching the space between them. Finally, Daniel exhaled, the facade slipping. "Evan and we've been talking," he admitted. "More than friends." But nothing physical happened. The confession landed with a dull thud in Michael's chest. It wasn't unexpected, yet hearing it aloud made the truth heavier. "Why didn't you tell me?" Michael asked. "I didn't want to hurt you," Daniel whispered. "I just felt disconnected. And Evan listened when I needed someone." The irony stung, given how deeply Michael had felt ignored. But instead of anger, a quiet sadness settled over him. "I needed someone too," Michael said. "But I chose to hold on to us. You chose to look somewhere else." Daniel's expression softened, and for the first time in weeks, his eyes met Michael's without walls or excuses. "I'm sorry, Michael. I really am." The apology was genuine, but it didn't mend the space that had widened between them. Michael realized that the version of their relationship he'd been clinging to existed only in memory, not in the present. "Maybe we've both been avoiding the truth," Michael said gently. "Maybe we're not the same people we were when we started." Daniel nodded slowly, resignation settling into his shoulders. "Maybe you're right." The decision came without shouting or tears, just a quiet acceptance that the love they had shared had faded into something unrecognizable. They agreed to part ways peacefully, dividing their belongings with a maturity that reflected the affection they once had, even if it was no longer sustainable. After packing a small bag of essentials, Michael stepped outside again. The night was cool, but unlike before, it didn't feel suffocating. He walked with a sense of clarity that had eluded him for months. The police station's glow appeared down the street, steady and familiar. Michael didn't intend to file anything new, he simply felt drawn to the only place that had offered him grounding that night. Inside, the front desk was quieter than before. Officer Lucas looked up from a stack of paperwork, surprise softening into a warm, composed expression. "We're back," Lucas said. "I just wanted to say thank you," Michael replied. "Your support helped me see things clearly." Lucas nodded, his voice sincere. "I'm glad you found the strength to take care of yourself." Michael smiled faintly. It was overdue. A gentle understanding passed between them, unspoken, respectful, and undeniably genuine. Lucas didn't push the moment, he simply offered reassurance through presence alone. "Healing takes time," Lucas said. "But you're moving in the right direction." Michael felt the words settle within him like a steady anchor. For the first time in a long while, he wasn't searching for validation or fearing abandonment. He was simply standing in a moment of peace. As he stepped outside again, he sensed the beginning of something new, not a romance, not a rebound, but a quiet rebuilding of self. The night didn't feel cold anymore. It felt open, wide, and waiting.